Today we'll be talking about construction consulting. You may or may not have heard of Curry & Brown. We are fairly small, as most construction consultancies are, but you will have heard of the people that we have worked for and have helped build buildings for. And we'll talk a little bit about what kinds of buildings and what kinds of work that we do. But yeah, today, Curry & Brown, my name is Katrina, and I will do just a quick introduction of myself. So what do I do at Curry & Brown? I am somebody who you call an assistant cost manager. I actually just started a new role as an assistant project manager. So I'm doing a little bit of a transition there. It's only been a week. So I can't speak too much on that yet, but I can speak on what I have done. And that's helping project managers manage the cost of their projects. So there are different life cycles stages throughout a project, right? You've got the beginning, the middle, the construction phase, and then you've got the ending where you start handing everything off to what we call the owner, or whoever wanted to build the building, right? Whether it's Nike, Intel, a school. We're there throughout the entire process, making sure that things are managed well through and that people are getting the bang for their money. So that's part of what I used to do before. The best part of my job is really just working with different types of people, being able to see these construction projects come to life. You've seen construction drawings, right? And it's all good and complicated on paper, but we get to see that again just come to life, and it's amazing to be able to go on sites. Here's a picture of me in my handy dandy pink hard hat. I can't say exactly what project I was on here doing here because of NDAs, but it was a nice tech client over in Seattle, and they were building a nice big office facility. So this is me at the very top, just enjoying the nice view of the lake. So that's a lot of fun, being able to travel up to construction sites. And I'd say the best part about working as a construction consultant is the professional atmosphere. So I do work in an office. And I also get to go on construction sites. I'm not on construction sites every day, so I have a nice balance between having that kind of office life, which I actually enjoy, but then also being able to travel and meet different people and see these things in person. I also like being able to contribute and being able to say, hey, I helped build that, or I helped be part of the team that helped get that done. So buildings, they last a long time. And they affect our community. So I think that's really cool as well. And I will introduce my colleague, Uma.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Uma Dharmadasa, and I am a cost manager, working as a cost manager for Curry & Brown. So I've been in my role right now for about 1.5 years. What I do is I work with a high-tech data center client. Again, unable to say exactly who it is, but a company most guaranteed every one of you know about. And what I do on a day-to-day basis is provide value engineering, which means provide cost support to the client. So I do things like reviewing change orders meaning when a project starts and then unexpected things happen, there's added cost that comes in. So I review those things to make sure that those are in line with what the market values are and make sure that our client is getting a good value for what they're doing. So that kind of goes down into my favorite part of the job as well. Just providing support to the client, making sure that they're getting the best bang for the buck, if you will. And I'll go a little bit into what we do. We work with a GC, and that has been my background before. I've worked for a GC for 8 years before working for Curry & Brown. So it's been very interesting to do what I do. And the best part of working is just working with a wide variety of people. We work with architects, the client, of course, general contractors, subcontractors. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Thanks, Uma. I'm gonna try and, oh, looks like I got the chat to work. Okay, ask everybody a question on the next slide. And that is, what comes to mind when you think of construction? And feel free to put your answers in the chat or come off mute, but maybe ponder that for just a couple seconds. What do you think of? Building. Yep.
Building, yeah.
Alrighty. So today we'll kind of cover how, you know, there are different parts of construction that maybe people have never heard of. I think a lot of people, our clients included, when they think of construction, they think of the plumber or the guy who's out there in the rain with the hard hat doing all the dirty work, but there's actually a lot of people behind the scenes that help make construction projects come to life. So you could be a huge fan of buildings and love helping put things together, but maybe you're not so interested in working with your hands, or maybe you are, because we need those people as well. And they're very well respected, the trades out there. So the final message is that there's a place for everybody, and we'll kind of talk a little bit more about that in the presentation. Stumbling on my words. So we're going to go do a quick trivia to get you guys thinking about construction, and that is, what's the world's tallest building? If you guys think you might know the answer, or you want to take a guess, you can put that in the chat, and we'll tell you the answer. Give it about a few seconds. C. Oh. Maybe A, yeah. These are all very tall buildings, that's for sure. Okay, so the answer is the Burj Khalifa. That is in Dubai, and that is the tallest building in the world. That is 2,722 feet tall. And it's a beautiful building. It's a picture of it on the left. And then we've got the height for each of the other ones there. So still all very tall buildings. But yeah, Burj Khalifa is the tallest. So next question.
All right, let's see, who's seen the Portland aerial tram? I'm sure, you know, good amount. Yeah, there you go. We got some hands here. So let's just take a guess as to how much it costs to build that Portland aerial tram. All right. Let's see more. Okay, great. Okay, D, 12 million. We got some B's and D's here mostly. All right, so believe it or not, it cost $57 million. Yeah, it's mind-boggling. It's an interesting fact, though, to whoever said 12 million, that was very close to the original estimate that a consultant came up with. It was 15 million. And this kind of goes on to show you like how important estimating is, and you know, sometimes where we end up with, you know, from where we estimate. So started with 15 and went to 57, but great guesses there.
All very good guesses.
And here's another cool, you know, slide about a gigafactory. This is actually Tesla's that's being built in Nevada. Think about the Burj Khalifa vertical, and then, you know, turn horizontal in how massive it is. It's the size of 1,894 football fields. I mean, that is absolutely massive. And that goes on to saying, you know, how cool buildings are, and you know what it costs. Sometimes you don't even think, you can't even fathom what something costs by looking at it. So
yeah. And
anything else to add on that, Katrina?
Oh yeah, we helped out. We had some team members who helped out with this. The Tesla Gigafactory was a huge project with a very short time constraint to get it done. But it's done, and so that's where all the Tesla cars are coming out of now. So yeah, building is fun because you get to kind of contribute to things like this. So we'll transition. We'll talk a little bit more about what construction consulting is. And construction consulting, in a nutshell, is being able to provide project solutions. And that can mean many, many, many different things, right? But at the end of the day, the final message is to find a solution to the problems, whether that's money, schedule, materials. There's lots of people that come into play to help make sure things get done. So Curry & Brown, like a lot of construction consultancies in the business or in the industry, actually, are global. So Curry & Brown, we have a lot of offices throughout the world. Uma, funny enough, is actually moving to Australia, and we've got an office in Australia. So we're working to have her transfer over there.
And it's amazing when you are a part of a big consultancy firm like this, the opportunities you get not only as a employee, but as as a client. If we've started a project with them here, we build a great relationship here, and now they want to expand to, say, the UK or Australia. Well, they're gonna look to us for those relationships and then see how we can help them expand. So with that comes a lot of opportunities when you have offices in different parts of the world. And like Katrina mentioned, as an employee, I also, as a person, you get to explore different areas. I do have some family in Australia, and I, want to be close to them for some time. So this is a great opportunity that the company is providing, which is very exciting.
Very exciting. The options are endless. The world is your nutshell, literally.
Yeah, definitely.
So not only are we global in our presence, but we also have global sectors. So Uma and I both work in the high-tech sector. Curry & Brown, we're involved in almost every sector and industry that you can think of, building buildings that fall under those sectors. But in Portland, we do specialize in the high-tech sector. So we've got a lot of stuff going on there.
And, somebody might wonder, like, what does that even mean? Like, what is high-tech? So, you can think of companies like Google or Facebook or Amazon, all that kind of companies, they fall into under that high-tech category. Yeah. So we have 13 sectors. We are working on building aviation under transportation right now. So that's been very interesting and cool. And working in a consultants firm, it's really cool because we're always trying to see what other sectors we can diversify into. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. But it's always interesting. Like, I'm pretty pumped about aviation because I worked in a project for PDX Airport, expanding the Concourse E extension for 4 years. So when I found out, we're getting into that aviation side, I'm like, yay, that's really, really great, because it's always fun to be able to see like the infrastructure also being built.
Do you know what some of the other locations specialize in? Like, if Portland specializes in that high tech, where are some of those other locations that they work with in these other fields?
That is a great question. California also heavily specialize in pharmaceuticals, as well as some of our offices on the East Coast. In New York, we have our education lead there. Our Minneapolis office, they specialize in kind of manufacturing. So although we have
and our central estimating is right there. It's not a sector, but they, from Minneapolis, supports all across board to all the other offices and sectors around the country. Sorry, Katrina, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, you're fine. You're fine. But yeah.
Very cool, thank you.
But we all do a little bit of everything. And Uma?
Yeah, so I briefly touched on GC, the general contractor. So we'll just kind of go through what each and every one of these career options. You might be wondering, what can I do with the construction field? So of course you can go to the owner's side, and it's, if you will, it's the top of the food chain of the hierarchy, because they're the ones with the money. and they're the ones who come to you with the interest of wanting to build a building. They are often the ones, you know, you may say least experienced, because they are relying on a lot of other, like the consultants and the architects. So that's where we come into play. We are experts of, I'll talk about consultants first, you know, being able to support from a cost and a budget standpoint. You know, they'll come to us and be like, what do you think about this budget? Can you put a budget together? Can you put an estimate together to build this? And architects and engineers, of course, design the buildings. They draw things and then they engineer things. So that's kind of trusted advisors, if you will, to the owner, to the client. Some of the things to think about when you're thinking about a consultant is it's a professional service. The hours are very, I would say, stable, like 40-hour work weeks. And as opposed to, let's get into the general contractor who's actually building the building, right? The hours are quite a bit longer, and not discouraging by any means. It's just the facts. And I've worked on the GC side, so I can tell by experience itself, the 8 years I've worked on the GC side, the hours tend to be a little longer, because sometimes in the summer we would start around 6:30, 6:45 even, you know, because the trade work laborers would like to go home early, you know, to just enjoy the summertime, the sun. So you as a project engineer in the general contractor side would be stuck working longer hours, which again, like I said, very rewarding and very hands-on. And another thing about the general contractor that's different is they are building the building physically, so they go where the work is, right? Whereas from a consultancy standpoint, we are a little bit more situated in our offices. Not to say that we're not going to the job sites, we go visit the job sites, and as a matter of fact, some consultants actually work from the job site itself as well, but majority of us, we have a main office where we work. So general contractor is essentially the mediator, right? Like, so they are hired by the client to manage all the subcontractors. It could be 4 subcontractors, it could be like 40 subcontractors, depending on the dollar value of your job and depending on the complexity of your project. And subcontractors are also the experts of their trades, right? Like the electrical subcontractors have been working in that trade for a very long time, and they're very knowledgeable. So is the mechanical subcontractors. So is, you know, the earthwork subcontractor. So they have the technical knowledge, the expertise, and they make great money too, because, you know, physical labor being out on site means, you know, that takes a lot. So they are also, they go where the work is, and yeah, discipline experts, if you will. So these are like the 4 major career options, you know, getting into the owner side, a consultant side, general contractor, or subcontractor. And the beauty of it is, regardless of what you do, you can sort of work your way through. And I think I'm a prime example of studying civil engineering, you know, in school. And then I just went to work, instead of going into the design side to become a structural engineer or something, I went to the general contractor side and I worked out in the field in projects like building the airport. And then after gaining experience on that side, I thought, oh, okay, well, you know, I'd love to see what the consultant side is doing. So right now, that's what I'm doing, working on the consultancy side. So the beauty is you're not stuck in one. So don't ever think, oh, I start down this path and that's the path I need to go down. You can always interchange and see what you like and what fits you best.
Yes, and it's good to interchange, and you know, some of the most experienced people have worked for subs, general contractors, consultants. They've done most of it, and so they're able to kind of bring that experience as a consultant and be even better. So there are some things that we like and some things that we're not so good at. So we'll kind of talk about that in this next slide. Right. So Uma talked a little bit about subcontractors, how they are specialized in what they do, and how the general contractor, they're the ones going to the site. And as a consultant, we kind of have a little bit of a mixture of both, right? So we'll take a quick look at this slide, and you know, as I'm going through each of one of these, maybe think about, you know, do any of these sound like me, or is this something that I'd like to do? And the main message that we're kind of trying to show here is that there is a spot for everybody in construction. So yeah, so estimator, we've got a lot of those in our Curry & Brown office. You also have estimators for subcontractors as well. They provide quotations and estimates for things like electrical work and things like that. Those guys, they really enjoy the numbers. We call them the spreadsheet kings and queens. I mean, we all deal with spreadsheets, but they're deep in their spreadsheets, right? They are focused with very strong attention to detail on what they're doing. So they're pricing things like, you know, how many wires it takes to, you know, put lights through the ceiling and things like that. So they really like the technical aspect of what that is that they are specialized in. And yeah, so it's not for everybody, I will say. Estimating, some people either love it or, you know, not so much. So it really depends on your personality and what you like. Project managers, these are the people who help orchestrate the entire project, right? Whether it's a $5 million project or $50 billion project, these guys are kind of the ones that, you know, if you think of like a choir, right? And there's the orchestrator, that's the project manager is the one kind of orchestrating the party and making sure everything goes smoothly, nothing falls through the cracks and all that stuff. So with that being said, they have to be very, very organized. They have to be very adaptable because things are changing almost left and right all the time. You have to be a people person because a lot of it is relationship management. You're working with so many people. It could be over 100 people, sometimes even more than that. You're just, there's so many people that you have to, you know, keep track of, communicate, make sure everybody's doing their job. And as a project manager, you're more, you know, if you're a consultant, more often than not, you're representing the client. So whether it's Facebook, Tesla, Microsoft, or even Portland State University, right? If you're the project manager on that project, you're representing the client. So you're their voice and helping make sure that they get the best results for that project, whether it's saving money, making sure it gets done on time, and making, yeah, time, money. I think those are the two biggest ones actually. And then there's the trades, of course. These guys are super specialized. They like working with their hands. And these kinds of jobs are best for people who maybe like being active. They like working with their hands, like actually physically building things versus sitting at a desk job and staring at a spreadsheet all day, right? So there's two different opposite ends of the spectrum, both very well respected careers. We need estimators, but we also really need the trades. And fun fact, there's a shortage of people in the trades at the moment. Not enough young people are going to the trades as much as they used to in previous years, which is causing issues for the current market, right? We're not finding enough people to be able to build the buildings. And these guys, they work long hours, but they make insane amounts of money. There are people who own consultancies who have boats and yachts and things like that. So if you start early and you learn your craft early and you learn about what it is, what you want to do, you can very quickly grow from there, spread your expertise, create your own company. There's a lot of demand for the work and a lot of money there as well. So just want to give a, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, just to piggyback on that, like in a personal level experience, some of the project managers that I've actually worked with also have come from trades, you know, so it's been really nice to see because they have been down in the ditches, like doing the work, and they're hands-on, so they know what goes into, you know, managing a project too. So I really like to emphasize on the fact of like the trades and what a great way to go as well. You know, doesn't necessarily mean that you have to go get a university degree. You can go into the trade schools, and then that is an opportunity to work and make your way in the construction industry, whether to become an estimator or even a project manager. So
yeah, and we call that apprenticeships, right? So Curry & Brown, we actually have an apprenticeship. So as we're kind of talking through this presentation, if you maybe find that you might be interested in working as a construction consultant. We do have an apprenticeship for high school graduates. Just gonna throw that in there. But Landon asked a good question and said, has a project manager ever been the client? So I think it's worth saying that there are different types of project managers that exist in the world. There are project managers that work internally in organizations, helping manage projects. There might be an internal project manager for a client working with the consultant as well, but doing different things. But I'd say construction project managers most usually external. They're not usually the client itself. So,
and if it is the client itself, they're like really big clients, like big companies. For example, think about like Nike, pretty big. They can afford to have their internal project managers who are working inside, but almost guaranteed they are still going to hire an external project manager, like Katrina said, like us, to able to help facilitate some of the scope that they're looking for assistance in.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good question, Landon. Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
All righty. So I just want to check in with Sammy real quick. Are we ending at 2 o'clock? Is it 2:15?
2:15.
2:15. Okay, got it. Just doing a quick time check. So we'll talk a little bit about what does a typical day look like for us. I know you guys are probably thinking, what the heck, this is a lot of information. What do you guys do in a single day? Let's kind of break it down. So we compare a lot of numbers, a lot of comparison, trying to find the cheapest solution to problems, right? Which leads to saving money. Again, that circles back into solving problems. We talked about relationship management as project managers, but no matter where you are in the business, relationship management and being able to work with different types of people, and communication as well. These are all things that we have to do every single day. And of course, we visit construction sites, just as Uma and I talked about earlier. But yeah, this is pretty much what we do in a day in a nutshell without kind of getting too nitty-gritty with the details. So Tristan, just real quick, said, how do I apply for a job for trades when I get out of high school? You'll find that a lot of trades, whether it's mechanical, structural, or electrical, a lot of them do offer apprenticeships for people out of high school. All you need is a high school GED. You don't need a college degree. How you apply for them, I would look on their website, see if they've got any career postings on there. They might have things on Indeed, things like that. But I'd really encourage people also to not be afraid to, if you see a website and it's, for an example, Steel Electric, they're a local electrical subcontractor here in Beaverton. If you see their phone number on the website, just give them a call up. Say, hey, I'm in high school. I'm interested in working for you guys. Do you guys have anything for high school graduates? And they should be able to direct you from there.
Yeah, starting as an apprentice and then working your way to a laborer if you're going in that end of things, and then you can become a journeyman and a foreman. So there is like all that like steps that you can get through. But like Katrina said, there are avenues to be able to apply, whether it's through a union or like a local trade like electrical, like you were mentioning. So honestly, that's like a great question. I also don't know personally, like, so I'm also going to look into it. Like, what are the how do you get right straight from high school to like, how do you get connected right there? Where is that bridge? So
I will say it's good to ask. Yeah, because I almost guarantee you they will want to offer you something, because again, we very much need people in the construction industry. So there'll be a place for everybody, whether you're right out of high school and looking for apprenticeship or you've got more experience. So Susan asked a question. She said, when you are saving money, do you also consider the life cycle cost of the building, like heating and cooling costs?
So I think that's a great question. We are like right now getting into the sustainability side of things a lot, and definitely looking into things such as heating, cooling, what other avenues that we can help the client with, whether it's a low VOC paint, from the smallest thing too. So heating, cooling is such a big thing that helps in the long run, whether using solar or, so we are looking into options, and that is a service that we as a consultant provide to our clients. And that is also called the value engineering side of things, providing ways to help, and sustainability, or being being able to save cost on that side, on electricity and all that. That is a big thing. So yes, that is definitely being considered when we are providing services.
Yeah, I know it will be more so as we as an industry dive deeper into sustainability, and how much these things cost, but also how much energy they produce as well throughout the life cycle of a building. So we talked about what we do, what makes it fun, right? So again, we're gonna go back, interacting with different types of people and personalities. That's a lot of fun. You meet a lot of really interesting people in construction. I mean, no two people are the same. Obviously, we all know that, but I just feel like in construction, you just get a wider range of personalities, and it's great. I mean, it makes work fun every day. We laugh together. We make, we have jokes, and it's not always needing to be serious. There are times when we do have to be very, very serious and very professional, but there are also times when we can let loose and have a good time. The other thing that makes, what we do fun is, again, seeing construction drawings and ideas come to life. I think that's just the magic of it all, right? It's seeing things come to life. It's hard to explain until you kind of have been in the process, but it's like magic. And then Uma, I'll let you speak on the last one.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I relate to that, Katrina, because every time I've driven by a building that I've been a part of, whether it's a hotel downtown, or whether it's the airport, or whether it's a medical lab next to the Moda Center, these are all like visible projects, and it just brings so much satisfaction and also a certain sense of pride that you're giving back to your community, and I think that's what makes it fun, to be able to see these things come to life from a 2D piece of paper to a 3D building. And there's so much that it brings to you to be able to say, oh, I was part of that, and the amount of people that goes into it. Again, to talk to your point, you work with tradesmen who's been working for like 50 years in the trades, or you're working with an architect who is really cool concepts that they have, and engineers, whether it's an electrical engineer, mechanical engineer who's worked on these drawings. So the wide variety of people, stakeholders that you talk to throughout a project, it just makes it so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
I know.
What has been both of your guys' favorite project you've worked on?
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. My favorite, so I've moved on to like semiconductor clean room type projects now. But my favorite before were, I really wish I could say the name, but they were tech office spaces, and we've got a couple of pictures we'll show in here. They're just quirky office spaces, right? So those were my favorite projects, and just seeing the designs. I'll show the pictures in a little bit, but yeah, that's my favorite.
I think for me, it's the airport project that I worked on. You probably heard me talk a lot about that. Granted that when I was working on that, I was on the GC side, but regardless, that it just brought in a lot of different aspects of things, and it was a great growth opportunity. So I would say that was my favorite. But also I love what the data center client I'm working with right now, though I can't say the name. It's definitely been challenging, so I like the challenge. So therefore, that's also one of my favorites.
So many different types of projects, and no two are the same. So it's worth kind of speaking on that real quick. So I know we've been talking a lot. Thank you so much for you guys for listening. So we're going to just very quickly talk about what is a quantity surveyor. This, again, I know this is a lot of information, but bear with me here. We, as construction consultants and as Curry & Brown, we actually specialize in a service called quantity surveying. Now, I know you guys have not heard of quantity surveying before. This is a profession that actually originated in the United Kingdom and has been slow to kind of transfer to the United States. And we don't have enough time to really talk about why that is. But basically, a quantity surveyor is somebody who specializes in all the things related to construction, right? Cost, estimating, project controls, contracts, project management, procurement, and procurement means kind of sourcing and finding materials and things like that, whether it's like steel bars or wood doors or whatever. But yeah, so if you're somebody who, you know what an accountant is, right? They help manage the money. You've heard of an engineer and you've heard of a lawyer. A quantity surveyor is kind of three of these kind of bundled into one package related to construction. And they do it all. So we call them unicorns, and they're in a lot of demand. They make really good money. But again, a really big issue in the industries right now is that we just don't have enough of them. So maybe kind of think about that. Maybe think about if you like variety, things like that. I don't remember whose slide this was. Was it you or me?
It's me. You know,
Okay.
well, yeah, kind of piggybacking onto what you just said, right? I mean, it just takes a village to build a building, and a construction team is comprised of who we've already talked about, right? Like the client. So this just sort of gives you like the hierarchy, if you will. But then again, it's a team. It's a team that comes together to build this. So there's the client, the owner. Then of course there is a project manager. There's engineers who are working, which is like we mentioned earlier. It could be a structural engineer, civil engineer, mechanical engineer, electrical engineer. All those engineers are needed to build a building. You know, they each specialize in a certain aspect of a building, and they all help bring those drawings to. Well, the contractor helps bring it to life, but the engineers actually draw it and make sure the engineering is good, so the building will stand, right?
Yeah,
So the architect helps with actually drawing and designing the architectural aspect of the building to make it look pretty, to make sure that that concept gets out there, and the engineer makes it feasible, to make sure that whatever the architect has drawn actually is feasible and engineering wise. And I'm kind of going around the tree here. Procurement is sourcing. That is a big thing when it comes to construction. There's a lot of issues where projects get delayed if you're not bringing the material to the site on time. So that is a huge thing. It is a job in itself to make sure all the material, the steel, the concrete, the heating, cooling units, everything gets to the site on time. Such a critical role in a construction team. And subcontractors, as we mentioned, it could be 37 different subcontractors, from the painter to the roofer to electrical, mechanical, plumbing. Those are some of the main ones. And of course, the general contractor who's managing all the subcontractor trades. And last but not least, the quantity surveyor, cost manager, which is who we are. We're working very closely with the client. As you can see, we're like there right next to the client, just making sure that we got their back, if you will. Some of these high-tech clients that we're working with, they might have deep pockets, they might have a lot of money, but that is also the reason that there could be a lot of cost incurred because of it, right? So many trades are working, they're sending lots of additional cost, so they need somebody to just make sure and verify that the additional costs that are coming through, or the initial cost for that matter, is actually legitimate, right? So we are working closely with the client, having their back, making sure that they are getting the best bang for their buck. Again, I'll just repeat that because that's just the best way to put it. But yeah, anything else to add on that, Katrina?
No, I think that was fantastic. Yeah, bang for the buck. That's what we, quantity surveyors do in a nutshell.
Yeah.
So I know we just introduced a new term here, guys, quantity surveying. You're probably thinking construction consultant, quantity surveying. I'm confused now. The two are the same.
Yes.
So I just want to make sure that is crystal clear to everybody. Quantity surveyor is somebody who does everything that a construction consultant firm would do in one person. Again, think unicorn, the special kind of person who is expert in all things.
It's like in the UK, how you're calling it the car park versus parking lot. For some reason, that's the quantity survey. Over here we call cost managers, but it's in the same. It's pretty much the exact same role. So.
Yeah, it's interchangeable. Think like trolley. UK they say trolley. Here we say cart, shopping cart.
Yes.
But yeah, so why become quantity surveyor? We talked about how they do all the things. Their unicorns are hard to find. Why are they hard to find? They're hard to find because they're very specialized, right? It takes a long time to become specialized in different areas of construction. But again, it's a very rewarding career in ways that are, monetary, but also in the work itself. So why become quantity surveyor, you might ask? You like variety, you like analyzing numbers, you like being challenged and solving problems. You like working with people, different types of people. You maybe like, building relationships with different people, managing people. You like being a leader. You care about sustainability, right? So they are needing to provide expert advice on, what is the right and the wrong thing to do when building projects, making sure things are passing environmental laws, we're interchanging materials where appropriate. And last but not least, and this is not just for quantity surveying, but just in construction in general, why do it? You want to influence the built environment. You want to have an impact on the world that we see around us. That's a good reason to get into construction or quantity surveying, whichever will fit your interest. So I'm sure you guys are interested in, okay, well, you told me about everything that you guys do and all of what a quantity surveyor does and, construction, all of that. How much money does it make? Right. So we think about, lawyers and doctors, they're, they make a lot of money. And engineers, I think a lot of us will maybe think of an engineer and know that they make a decent living. And I'm here to say that the future job outlook for quantity surveyors, it is very positive. Again, there's a lot of work going on. There's a lot of demand. There's not enough people to fill the roles. So job outlook is good. It's rare that people will be without work in construction. That's not to say it's not recession proof, because no industry is. But there's definitely a little bit more padding there when things like recessions happen for people who are in the line of work, such as quantity surveying and things like that. And a lot of that has to do with, if you're a quantity surveyor, you can easily switch industries when it comes to construction, right? So maybe tech isn't doing so good right now. So you're going to move from a tech project and you're going to go work on hospital projects or whatnot. So there's dynamic kind of flexibility there. So again, back to money. If you were to work as a first-year apprentice, you're more likely going to, start off at minimum hourly wage. That's where we all have to start off. And that will be likely for your first year while you're kind of getting your feet up and running, learning the ropes and things like that. Once you kind of graduate from the apprenticeship program, whether it's with a trade or with somebody like Curry & Brown, your starting salary upon graduating is about 50 to 65K per year. Okay. So again, these numbers are going to change. There's this thing called inflation where numbers and the dollar, the value of the dollar will change as things, we progress, but that's the number for now. And then moving on, so after 10 years of experience, I'm kind of going to step away a little bit from the trades here. And we're going to focus a little more on construction quantity surveying, right? After about 10 years, you can expect to make about 6 figures, and about 20 to 30 years, you would be considered the top 10% of earners in America. And again, that's, a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's a hard profession to train for. It's in a lot of demand, and they deliver results that, there's sometimes a lot of risk too, right, for buildings and things like that. So some things to think about. I think I've lost my chat box here. So if anyone's asking questions, Uma, you might need to assist
Yeah,
me.
there hasn't been any.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
Yeah, so these are some of the cool pictures that we get to from a similar project that we worked on, and kind of gives you an idea what we do on a day-to-day basis or what we help get built. So these are tech real estate office spaces.
You see that
Yeah.
slide in that, yeah, their offices really look like that. So these are just, you know, yeah. We've helped do some of the work on this kind of stuff. So it's really fun being able to see it in person. So just real quick, you know, we want you guys to leave today to learn, you know, a little bit about construction consulting, but also about, you know, just general career advice moving forward as you guys kind of transition out of high school or, you know, into college or into whatever it is that you may do after. Your personal brand, no matter what you do, will define you in your workplace. So kind of think about the things in the red, the things in the green, what you want to be identified with and known for, and maybe not so much, right? People will remember how you make them feel. So maybe think about that. You don't want to be the guy that's late for meetings. You don't want to be somebody who overpromises but underdelivers. So think more green, right? Anything you want to add on that, Uma?
Oh, no, I think you covered it all. I mean, you know, the positive attitude you bring into a work environment is very important. It just kind of trickles down, and that energy vibrates in your team. Always just kind of coming to a meeting or whatever you're doing with a let's see how to solve this kind of an attitude, or let's see how we can make it better. Sort of attitude, and then yeah, it's what you bring, you know, it's how you think, and so it's always important to just kind of take a step back a minute and think through whether it's a meeting that you're coming into or a presentation or a design engineering meeting. Yeah, your personal brand will define your workplace, so it's really important because each one of us kind of build that team together, so it's really important.
Yeah, and it's really important to be a good team player. Extremely important. And I will just say real quick, who you are in high school today most likely will not be who you are 5-10 years from now. So and I say that just because I was really, really quiet, very shy in high school. I could barely talk to anybody. And now I'm talking to groups of many different people. So you will evolve. And, you know, just because you're, you know, still working on yourself and you have a lot to learn in high school still doesn't mean that you can't grow into whoever you want to be when you graduate. So the opportunities are endless. Believe in yourself. Okay. We have some tips for career success. And what do you want to go through these?
Sure. You know, always follow, you know, what you're passionate about. And as Katrina said, it might change. You know, you might be really passionate about something today and it might change in a year, and that is completely fine. We are always figuring things out as we go. But yeah, developing like that strong, positive personal brand, you know, just to kind of summarize what we talked about already, and just take some calculated risk, right? Like do your research. And sometimes we tend to think, oh, I'm not qualified for this. And what you kind of need to learn is what you come out of school and then you will learn. So don't be afraid to sign up for something that you're passionate about, or click on the link and then just kind of explore and kind of going with that, like, don't be afraid to ask questions. Construction is such a wide variety, like, there's so many avenues and paths you can take. You're never going to be like perfect in one area. So it's about asking questions and, relying on the resources, experts who know it already. Should never be afraid. And you're never going to look stupid just because you ask questions. I personally, I was very afraid to ask questions, but especially right after college, because I felt like I need to know all this. I just graduated from, college, or, in your case, it'll be right after school, like applying to something. So don't be afraid to ask questions and go ahead and apply. Just take those calculated risks. And the biggest thing is not to focus on money, just to follow your passion, and everything will fall into place. Again, a personal example, out of college, I got 2 different job opportunities. One was paying me more money, but the other company I have done an internship with. So I was more familiar with that company, and I really liked how the dynamics and the team worked when I did the internship. So I chose that because I knew that it was felt like a better fit. I loved the culture. So it was tough. Sometimes we coming out of college or high school or whatever it might be, like, we're focused on money. We just want to make a lot of money. So just saying, don't really focus on that too much, because everything falls into place if you really focus on what makes you happy in that work environment, and what you're passionate about. So
Yeah, it's also just so important, just going back on the question, saying, no, there's no such thing as a stupid question. And you will hear that probably for the rest of your life. There's really no such thing as a stupid question. And it's good to ask questions. It's very good. So if you're ever unsure, if you're curious, make sure you ask those questions. And again, going back on the calculated risk, you'll never know until you try. Whether it's construction, or you want to apply for law school, or you want to be a teacher, you won't know until you kind of take that risk and give it a shot, and do your research. But don't be afraid to fail either. Don't let that hold you back. The world is your oyster.
Yes, I started wanting to do environmental engineering, and then I'm like, oh no, maybe I like to build buildings. So then I switched to civil, and then I thought I wanted to be a structural engineer. Then halfway through that, I'm like, no, I really like talking to people, not so much just making sure, the numbers of the engineering is correct. So then I went to general contracting. And then now here I am at consulting. So take me as an example. You can navigate as you think what fits you the best. So sorry, Katrina, I know you moved on from that slide, but I just wanted to just put that in there. Yeah.
No worries. So we're cutting really close on time. So I'm going to try and whiz through these last 2 slides and then try and get as many of those questions at the end. Here are just some interview tips for you guys. If you go into an interview, make sure you follow these bulleted items. Be on time, be organized, be prepared, be yourself, and do your research. Research.
Yeah, and ask questions, based on that research, because interviewers really like that too. So.
Yep. I'm going to actually skip through this real quick. So for those of you who might be interested, Curry & Brown is offering an apprenticeship as, construction consultants. There are trades who offer apprenticeships as well. I'm sure you've heard of an apprenticeship, but if not, it basically means you'd work full-time and do part-time school. So on-the-job training, you'd get full-time pay. With Curry & Brown, if you were doing an apprenticeship with Curry & Brown, you would get a bachelor's degree afterwards, and we pay for that bachelor's degree throughout the 4 years that you would be an apprentice. While you're an apprentice, you'd get health benefits, 401k, paid vacation, paid sick time. Those things may not mean a lot to you right now, but those are very important things that every adult needs. 401k is basically a savings account. So it's a good package, basically. You get free school and you get to learn on the job. So if you guys are interested, I can have Sammy share my information with you guys. Can send me an email and we can, tell you a little bit more about what Curry & Brown does. And that being said, thank you guys so much. You guys have been troops, kind of hanging into this very long presentation with lots of talking. I know we have some questions, so I'm going to try and look at those real quick while we still have about
So the
3
first one is
minutes.
things like, what made you guys choose construction consulting? Actually, before that, there is one, was that slide back there functional? And I think that was to the high-tech real estate photos, Katrina. So what I'm just wondering what you mean by were they functional? Are they like actually functioning live spaces? If that's the question, yes.
Oh, yes, they're,
Yeah.
yes, they're, yes.
They're functional.
First, another question, is there always an area of construction being worked on, or are there any days that there's nothing happening? I think it sometimes depends on where the economy is at. Sometimes things do get put on pause and, maybe money runs out and things have to stop. So there are days where nothing might be happening. If your question was, in the broader sense. What made you guys choose construction consulting? I'll go real quick. My dad. So my dad is actually a quantity surveyor. So I had the opportunity to kind of pick his brains during dinner time. And the more I picked his brains, the more I realized that I was interested in it. And, construction was never talked about when I was in high school. So that was the only way I kind of got to learn about it. And, I thought it was interesting. So I went after it. What about you, Uma?
To me, I was very excited to try something different from general contractor side of things. I wanted to see something that was a little bit more able to plan. And in the GC world, of course, there's a lot happening, quite a bit of high stress. And I was just in a place in my life, early 30s right now, just wanted a career change, and construction consulting sounded really good. And on the GC side, you're trying to solve problems at the 11th hour. And in the consulting side, you can actually help a lot earlier in the project. So that was really important and exciting for me to be able to be influential at early on in the project, as opposed to like a lot later on in the project. So that's why.
Thanks, Uma. Alrighty, it's 2:15. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening in.